Hey, Satanico here for God Loves Comics, and I've got a very typical YouTube-themed sort of entry today. It's going to be 6 cheap villain keys that are, I think, a couple of them are off the beaten path, so I think that makes it a little bit more interesting than the standard stuff that you see. And then there's going to be, at the very end, a grand surprise. One that's not so cheap, I should say. Okay, so let's get it going really quickly with Batman 363. And this is the first Nocturna. So, Nocturna apparently is already appearing in the Batwoman universe, I guess, on screen. And I guess Batwoman's coming back for a second season with a different actress. I've never watched it. But anyway, she sounds kind of interesting. I like this issue. I bought it primarily for the Don Newton art, which was the same reason I got, several issues around this era was simply for Don Newton art. And as it turned out, there were some pretty major keys in there. This is a minor key. This is probably, you can get this for, it's $20 or $30, probably around the My Comics shop, Go Collect values. But I guarantee you can probably get it for about 10, maybe even less. Even in really nice shape, even in very fine, if you're looking on eBay, if you're searching for it, and especially if you get it in a lot. So it's pretty easy to pick up. Okay, let's go next with this beauty. Detective Comics 583. That's a Mike Mignola cover, so that's almost enough reason to get it right there. But it also happens to be a key. It's the first appearance of the ventriloquist and Scarface. Two relatively minor villains, but those are the type of villains that could always appear in the Batman cinematic universe at any period in time. Then maybe they've already appeared in the animation, I don't know. But this is a relatively cheap comic. I mean, it can go from $30 to $50 if you're talking 8.0 up to 9.2. I think I got this, and I think it was there was a fairly warm bidding on it, or pretty hot bidding on it, but I still think I got it for around 25 to 30. I think you can definitely get it for that, and probably less if you're looking, and once again, if you buy it in a lot. And that's a beautiful condition that I got this one in. I think it's definitely at least a 9.0, but nice comic. Now here's a very off the beat the path one. This is Iron Man 53. I bought this almost solely because I was buying some Bronze Age comics. This was a couple of years ago, auctioned on eBay, and this was just in such beautiful condition. There were some, early Bronze Age comics, Iron Man, Daredevil, that were in really beautiful condition and really inexpensive, so I bought this. And then, as it turns out, it is the first Black Llama. You can see there. And Black Llama is a very, very strange, I think it's a pretty cool name. It's a very, very strange villain character. I had no idea of his history. The Black Llama is the Earth 7511 version of former President Gerald Ford. What the fuck? Who ruled over Iowa as king, okay? Out of boredom, he dimensionally traveled to Earth 616. The process of traveling between dimensions caused him to go insane, and his effort to restore his sanity caused him to become a supervillain. His origin is hard to take seriously, and his name raises some issues about cultural appropriation, they say, in determining, I think this was from Comic Book Resources, in determining that he probably should not appear in the Marvel Universe, but the cultural appropriation thing, I have no idea what you're talking about. You can't say black. I mean, unless it's Black Panther. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just unbelievably stupid. But actually, it's not off base because they probably would keep a character out of the Marvel Universe for that reason. But that bizarre origin, I don't know. He should probably appear in a Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn would probably take a shot at him. But anyway, this is a comic that actually is pretty sought after, especially in this condition. I don't know if it's actually near mint. It might be about an 8.0, 8.5. But in to 9.2, you're running $30 to $50 in the My Comic Shop Go Collect sort of market. So, and this is one that I don't think is a major key. Obviously, these are relatively minor villain keys, but they could become major. But I think that you could probably pick it up for much cheaper than that if you're looking for it. And this is a pretty interesting villain who could definitely appear somewhere. May not. Still a nice comic, especially if you can get it for like $10. Here is a comic I just keep hammering away on. Batman 358. The first full appearance of Killer Croc. This comic, they've got it listed in the 8.0 to 9.2 range, from anywhere from $30 to $80, whether it's Go Collect or around My Comic Shop. I'm usually able to pick this comic up in very fine for $10 to $15. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but I've gotten several copies of this for around the $10 to $15 mark. I think I got one just recently that's probably very fine, and it was about I think $10, and of course you have to pay shipping. But there you go. I mean, Killer Croc, pretty major villain in terms of, you know, appearing in Suicide Squad, in terms of being in the Gotham universe. Unfortunately, the movies sucked, but this is a villain that still appears in all the games. He still appears in animation, and his day may still come. Regardless, this is still can be anywhere from a $30 to $80 comic, especially in near mint like this one. There are usually a fair number of copies of this on eBay, so it's not too hard to find. Now, the one that is hard to find is $3.59, a little bit harder to find, especially in good condition. I mean, it's not rare by any stretch of the imagination, and that is just the first full cover appearance of Killer Croc. And surprisingly, I feel like 358 as being the first full appearance was the more valuable comic, but increasingly the first full cover appearance seems to be valued a little bit more, and that runs also anywhere from $30 to $80, but which is a little bit surprising, but a little bit harder to find, especially in decent condition. I do have a copy. I don't know where I put it. I've already sold one before. I sold these two together for $60. A couple of years ago, or yeah, about 2 years ago now, and I feel like they're always easy to flip, so I just keep buying them. This is a pretty common one, obviously. The first Mr. Sinister. This is graded 8.0, I think, by My Comic Shop, but it may have been, maybe not. But regardless, it actually, I think, is a little bit nicer than that. I think it's definitely 8.5, maybe 9.0. So, Mr. Sinister, this can run about $70 in 8 to 9. In fact, I think Go Collect had 8 at $70 and 9.0 at $70. So, not cheap, and because it's Uncanny X-Men, there are a lot of copies out there. So, I think you can actually usually pick one up for maybe about $40. Depending on the condition, of course, but I'm talking about maybe very fine. But you have to really work for it. You have to look for it. There is a fair demand, and there's always hints that Mr. Sinister is going to appear in the Marvel Universe at some point, so that's one of those things. Finally, this was a nice surprise. This is Fantastic Four 211. This comic has been, like a lot of these comics, but particularly this one has been worthless for most of its lifespan. And I had this, I think, maybe I had it in a bag, maybe I had it unbagged in my collection that I left at my parents' house for decades. So, you've got the first appearance of Terrax the Tamer. And now, the reason this comic is really heated up and it's running anywhere from $50 to $110 when it's between 8.0 and 9.2 is because Terrax the Tamer is rumored to appear in the next Captain Marvel 2 alongside Annihilus and Galactus as the big villain. So that's what's going to heat this up. That's a good reason to sell it before that movie comes out, because these villain keys, they fall off a cliff usually. You know, I mean, unless you're talking the Joker, or unless you're talking, you know, really ingrained comics like, you know, Doctor Doom or whatever, which are from Silver Age, classic, you know, Fantastic Four. generally these sort of villain keys that are just related to recent movies tend to fall off a cliff after a little bit, after the movie comes out. So it's good to pick it up now. But this is not going for cheap. As I said, $50 to $110, 8.0 to 9.2. I think you could probably find it cheaper than that on eBay, even in nice condition, but not that much cheaper because right now I think it's pretty warm. Now, the last but not least is the piece de resistance, and I am happy to say that I sold it. I paid 40 cents for this comic when it came out, so it's a pretty nice deal. It is an absolutely beautiful unread copy of Avengers 196, and I wanted to get the slabs because I knew there was a hot topic because of the Black Widow movie. I was kind of lazy about it. Then the pandemic hit, of course, and everything else. And I thought the movie was going to come out before I had a chance to get it slabbed in the first place. The movie got delayed, and now finally the new trailers are dropping and new things are dropping on it. So it is going to come out. Now is the time to sell this book. There are actually a lot of them on sale on eBay right now, and I saw one that was like, I think listed at very fine, that sold for about $50. So I'm thrilled that I sold this for $202. This book in 9.4 and 9.6 on Go Collect can run anywhere from $230 on 9.4 to $400 at 9.6. Is this a 9.4? I think it could be. Is it a 9.6? Maybe. It has a pretty significant, this is just the way it was wrapped. It's just a lot of white here, which of course is advantageous because no ticks actually show. But I don't think there are any ticks. I don't think I read this comic for whatever reason. I never even liked the cover that much. It's got great art inside. It was from the era of Avengers I really loved, that right before 200, 201 or whatever started to die out. But anyway, I've sold it. I think I got a good deal. I think I can always fill it back into my collection pretty easily, pretty cheaply. Probably not a copy this beautiful, but I'm okay with that. I think I got a good deal, and that's it. I'm going to package this up and send it off tomorrow, but that is the 6 cheap villain keys. Relatively cheap, and relatively, not exactly all of them are under the radar, but certainly if you're looking for under the radar, you can't look any deeper than the Black Llama. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.